Hello, this is David, and welcome to this amazing tutorial in which we are going to use K3s to run a Kubernetes cluster, and specifically we are going to use the backups and snapshots functionality. So, before going into detail about how the K3s works and when it is good to use it as a Kubernetes distribution with respect to other distributions, let's go to the terminal and let's see how to make those backups. So here we are with the terminal. The first thing that we are going to do is to create a couple of directories. One for the snapshots and another one for the backups. In this tutorial, we are going to do it just in our personal home, but please use an external device, for example, a hard disk drive that is external or any NAS drive that you have, so the backups are well protected. In this case, I already had the folders there from previous installations, so we are going to skip this step. After this, what we are going to do is to execute the command that will install K3s with all the backup policies. So here you can see how beautiful is K3s with respect to a standard Kubernetes installation. It is only required to run a single command to install the cluster and to enable the backups and the snapshots. Here, it is important to remark, for example, this token, it is a key that we would use if we were going to add more nodes to our K3s cluster. Then it's also important to notice the permissions for the kube config file. In this case, we are specifying 644. We are going to do this in K3s because if not, we will run into trouble. And we disable traffic. Remember that in K3s as well as other distributions, we can select the way we do the ingress to our cluster. And in this case, we disable traffic because in other videos, we are going to use Nginx. Then we specify the backups folder and the snapshots folder. And it is also important to see how can we specify the periodicity of the snapshots. In this case, we can specify that we want to run a snapshot every minute. And we specify that we want to return until 72 snapshots. So this will work in a rotative way. So the moment that we have 72 snapshots, the oldest one will be deleted to have space for the following one. Here I have started the command of the installation. And then we are going to use an alias to save having to type every time kubectl. So with this, we will need to execute k. So we execute kubectl get all, and here we can see how we already had some pods running in the cluster. And what has happened here is that even though I didn't specify that I wanted to retrieve any specific snapshot in the past, K3s by default has gone to the backups folder and has used it to retrieve the last state of the previous installation of K3s. So this is not referring to the snapshots, but to the backups. The following thing that we are going to do is to simulate that we lose all the state of our Kubernetes cluster, the K3s cluster in this case. For this, we execute a couple of commands. The first one will stop everything, like all the pods and all the resources from the K3s. And the second command will just uninstall the installation of K3s. So we are going to execute it. And after it is executed, if we try to get all the resources again, we are going to see that the Kube API server, it is not running. So now it is time to retrieve all the Kubernetes cluster with a given state. For this, you see how the command, it is the same as before, but we add the parameter cluster reset. And we specify with the cluster reset restore path, what is the snapshot that we are going to use. If we autocomplete, we are going to see that I already had some snapshots here. And we are going to decide to restore any snapshot of the past. For example, this 7203. And we are going to execute the command and let it restore the backup, the snapshot that we already had from the past. Okay, the snapshot has been restored. Let's see. After the restore, we have to execute a couple more of commands. This is because the support in K3s, it is not perfect, but we are going to do a set, and then we are going to make a reload of the daemon. For this, it's asking us the password now. We reset we reload the daemon, and in this case we are going to wait for 20 seconds or something to have the Kube API server operative again. So we are going to retrieve the pods again. So here we are. We have retrieved our state, which it turned to be the same state from the backup in the snapshot. But it's interesting also to see how do we have snapshots being generated. You can see how a snapshot has been just generated right now. And if we keep making ls in the directory, eventually, once the next minute is here, we will have to see another snapshot being created. Until here, we have seen how to restore the cluster from the backup without specifying the snapshot path. And we also have seen how to do it from a given snapshot from the past. So yes, this is everything with respect to the snapshots. And then regarding to the K3s, only to mention that you have seen how easy was to install the cluster and how easy it was to configure it. I only had to run a single command to have all the power of a Kubernetes cluster in a simple server, because this indeed is not a very powerful server. So who is this distribution for, this K3s distribution? It is ideal to make proof of concepts or MVPs even. And it is also ideal to use it in, for example, in startup environments in which you don't have a large team that includes several people in the DevOps team. And it can be really easily manageable from a single person, even for a developer in this case, with some basic knowledge of Kubernetes. So until here, I hope that it has been useful for you, that you have enjoyed and that you have learned something useful. And I hope to see you in the next video tutorial. See you. Bye.